welcome back to this life of ours. We just finished our study of World War II. We took about 5 weeks to study it, and it was so good. We used Story of the World, which you probably know, and I took volumes 3 and 4 and spread it out over 3 years so that we could interspace it with more longer in-depth studies on different things, as well as more U.S. history. World War II was one of the parts that I took to do an in-depth study on, and it was so good. Of all the ones we've done, this is probably my favorite one. We just really enjoyed it, and I learned so much. I didn't realize how little I knew about World War II until I started prepping for this and then doing it. I learned so much. Of course, the kids did too, but one of the perks of homeschooling that I love is how much I've learned, especially in history and science. When I did our study, I divided each day into a different theme. So we did like entrance and internment. So we talked about Pearl Harbor and internment camps. We did Star Wars and World War II, where I taught them about different ways that Star Wars drew inspiration from World War II. D-Day, we only spent 1 day on the Holocaust. That was something I wanted to, because of the ages of my kids, I didn't want to give a lot of time to that one. And we talked about it obviously and what it meant, but I couldn't get into all the details with him about it. It wouldn't have gone well. We spent a week on the home front. We talked about different things each of those days. We spent a day on propaganda, a day on like day-to-day life, victory gardens, food rationing, that kind of thing. It was so good. I really enjoyed it. Today I thought I would share with you our favorite resources that we use, and over on my blog I put up a post on all the resources we used and enjoyed. There are a few things that didn't make the cut, so I didn't include those, but all the ones that I would recommend are over there. So when you're done with this video, be sure to go check that out for more World War II resources. I asked the kids today what their favorite parts of our World War II studies were. Elizabeth loved the home front study. That's, she's not really one to get into battles and that kind of stuff, but learning about like the day-to-day life, that kind of thing, is really interesting to her. So that was her favorite. Ben's favorite, he said, was probably one of the video series that I'm going to talk about, The Century. He really enjoyed those, and we watched 3 different ones, and he said he couldn't choose which one would be his favorite. And Matthew said that his favorite part of the study was learning about the end, and I said, well, what the end? Like, the end we were talking about was like the Nuremberg trials. That's odd. But he said it was because it meant the war was over and no one else was going to die. Oh. He's a pretty typical 6-year-old boy and very rambunctious and whatever. So those moments he has the little soft hearts, very interesting to me. Moving on to our actual resources. These are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 6, top 6 resources that I loved. One of them you may be able to see behind me, and that are these timeline cards. They are produced by a company in England. And what I liked about these over the other ones I found were that they were less US centric and more European centric. All the ones, most of the other ones I was looking at were just very much about what affected the US directly and the US major battles and whatever. And these were not. So I really love these cards. I should mention that all of these resources will be over my blog and down below. So if you don't want to hop over there, they'll be down there for you. Number 2 was a read aloud that we did. It's called The Winged Watchman. I forgot to write the author down. I'll try to pop that in. It's a story about the Dutch resistance. I don't want to give away the details, but Nazi-occupied Holland and this family's resistance to help save their neighbors. Excellent book. and a very enjoyable one to read aloud. Resource number 3 is a biography that we just finished. I got it from Overdrive for my library, so if you're interested, be sure to check there first. It's called The Plot to Kill Hitler, the biography of Dietrich Bonhoeffer. I knew Dietrich Bonhoeffer's name from church, and I've read some quotes here and there, but I didn't know much about him. I was blown away once we listened to it. It was really good. It was very interesting to learn what the involvement of the church and everything in Nazi Germany. Very good. I would say it's more for an upper elementary level. My 9-year-old could follow along well. My 7-year-old could give you the gist of the book, but he couldn't give you the details. I do want to mention though, at the end, the only part that I found a little bit graphic was at the very end. So like the last 2 or 3 chapters. So if you have sensitive kids, or you don't want, and it just talks about his death. So you may want to preview those first. They were fine for my kids, but I did want to put that warning in. Number 4 is it's a website called the International War Museum website. It's out of Great Britain, and they have actual museum sites from what I could gather, but their website is so good. They have all kinds of, and they not just for World War II. We used it, I found it for World War I, but they have other wars as well. They have videos, they have pictures, they have articles. We used a lot of their articles for our home front study, especially. Like they had one about World War II weddings. I knew my daughter would like that one, and tanks of World War II, interesting tanks of that. My boys loved that one. So they just have lots of good short articles, even in their in entirety. They're good length for kids. It's just a really great site for resource. It can kind of be a one-stop shop if you want to bring in a few extra resources in addition to your curriculum, but not a lot. This would be a really good place to check first. Next one, the Century series. I've talked about this before. We are loving it. It is so good. But the one specific, there are 3 for World War II: Over the Edge, Home Front, and Civilians at War. But the one I think was my favorite was Over the Edge, and it takes place from the years 1936 to 1941, and it examines, mostly in the US but also worldwide, the things that lead up to the war. Talks about like the Depression and just all the different things that kind of set the stage for it. I think it was really good preparation, even though we had studied some of it with our Story of the World. This kind of shrunk it down, prepped it, or kind of prepared them in, I think it was a 45-minute video to then study it. It's great. My kids love it. And they enjoyed all of it, but Over the Edge I think was the best one of the 3. And the last one was a biographical article that we read about Audie Murphy. Now I had heard of Audie Murphy, on the military bases. I see the Audie Murphy Club, that kind of thing, but I didn't know really who he was. I'd heard bits and pieces, but never the full story of him. I was blown away. I was so impressed. It was very interesting. All the kids enjoyed listening to it. It was a short article. It took nearly 5 minutes to read. And just kind of reminded me of the goodness of people. When we were doing this whole study, it was very easy to get overwhelmed with the horrid parts of Stalin and Mussolini and Hitler and all of that. But then you read stories like that and you remember that in the midst of bad, there's still good. Or there can be good, I should say. So those are my top 6 resources for World War II. Like I said, when you're done, be sure to head over to the blog so that you can find other resources. I hope you enjoyed watching this. If you have a World War II resource that I didn't have over there or here, and you'd love to share it, I'd love to hear below. At the end of the year, we're gonna have a couple weeks. I always schedule a couple weeks to go back and study bits and pieces of other things. Kind of our favorite topics of the year, so I have a little bit of time to do any more World War II resources. So if you have something to share, please do so below, and thanks for watching.